Really exciting day. We have the announcement of the Daring Warriors lineup. We have Eclipse, Night Thrasher, Speedball. The reworked characters are Jessica Jones and Daredevil. Amazing, right? I thought it was going to be Cloak and Dagger. I was wrong. I was mistaken. We did have a lot of community members that guessed, and some people did pick Jessica Jones. I thought that was really interesting. And now that we have Daredevil, we understand why. It's the Daring Warriors. And so let's go ahead and get into the kits. We have those. And I think the way that these characters are set up is going to tell us something about the future of Marvel Strike Force. Concerning the Daring Warriors, it says the Daring Warriors are stepping into Marvel Strike Force as the next top tier Crucible team. Introducing Eclipse, our newest MSF original character who joins Night Thrasher in Speedball alongside the updated Daredevil and Jessica Jones. This team is built to compete at the highest levels. In addition to ruling Cosmic Crucible, the Daring Warriors will also make their mark in the upcoming Battleworld. Get ready, the battleground awaits. All right, a lot of information here. One, my voice, right? So I'm feeling a little bit under the weather, but we're recording anyway. Please forgive me if you're able to. We see that this team is going to be dealing with the upcoming Battle World. Okay. So not the current Battle World with Century, the upcoming Battle World. And we know that the villain of that Battle World is the Maestro. So as we look at the kits, perhaps we can piece together what it is that the Maestro is going to do. So let's keep an eye out for some of those special things. Like it says, the battleground awaits. Eclipse, speed stat 128. She's a hero, global, mystic protector. So she's a protector for the team, Daring Warrior, and she's an MSF original character. Her ISO 8 counterattack assist mechanic, attack primary target for 237 damage plus piercing, heal for 5% of this character's max health, heal the most injured ally or self for 5% of this character's max health. So she heals when she's called in for that counter assist or that ISO. So her basic attack is Mayan Might. Attack primary target for damage, heal for 5% of this character's max health, heal the most injured ally or self 5% of this character's max health. Clear the full moon and new moon on self. Okay, so this character is based on the moon goddess Ishel, the avatar of that rabbit there. That's part of that. So she's going to have these moon phases, and these moon phases change the way the character plays slightly. So it's important to understand what's going on, what they do when you introduce a new one, how the old ones are canceled, things of that nature. So if we were to use our basic, we would then clear the full moon and new moon. And the first time this ability is used, we gain the crescent moon. What does the crescent moon do? It gains 100% chance to counterattack. Okay? As we go through these characters' kits, things like this are going to be very important. Counterattacks and the ability to counterattack, the opportunity to counterattack is going to be very important. It also will really be interesting on what we come up with as far as our ISO 8. Who do you want to be a striker? Who do you want to be a skirmisher? The striker skirmisher combo with this team can pull off some interesting things, and it depends again how you want to build your team. So if we get our crescent moon, we've gained a 100% chance to counterattack. In Crucible or Battleworld, allies will also get a 50% chance to counterattack. Again, as we go through, this is going to be very, very important. Her special ability, Earth and Strike, we can use it right out of the gate, 606 energy cost. We're going to attack our primary and adjacent targets for damage, apply Disrupted for 2 turns, Silence for 2 turns. Usually we use Disrupted to stop tanks. So in addition, we could put Silence on them, meaning, right, they can't, not only can they not taunt, but they can't buff or debuff if that's part of what they want to do. Reduce the duration of trauma by 2 on Eclipse and all Daring Warrior allies. Trauma is a good way to keep him under control. She will simply reduce it and allow us to continue with the matchup. Heal self and all allies for 25% of Eclipse's max health. Clear all darkness. While this character is alive, this character and all allies cannot gain darkness. So more anti-null mechanics here. And it's very important that they brought out while this character is alive. There are individuals who have abilities that you are in play, and they're just in play for the duration of the matchup, whether they're on the board or not. So in this case, she needs to be on the board for this mechanic to stay in play. In Crucible or Battleworld, for her and all Daring Warrior allies, you're going to flip all negative effects and apply immunity. Generate 2 ability energy. We'll move ahead here. Clear Crescent Moon and Full Moon on self. The first time this ability is used, you gain the New Moon. This attack is unavoidable. Cannot be blocked, cannot be counterattacked. So if you're blind, you can still use it. It cannot be blocked. The negative effects will still land. Cannot be counterattacked. Since it's an attack all, you do not have to worry about retaliation. Well, what happens then if I put this New Moon on enemy turn? 50% chance to apply blind. And in Crucible or Battleworld, if you have 3 Daring Warrior allies, you will always apply blind on the enemy with this attack. Interesting. So we just wanted to go back really quick. Here's our special. It's available turn 1. We have immunity. Okay. So we have immunity turn 1. We want to be keeping an eye out for safeguard, immunity, defense up. That's always a mark of a strong team that endures for a long time in this game. If you get immunity, defense up, and safeguard, it's usually the mark of a strong team. She's also going to generate 2 ability energy. Her ultimate ability is Moonlight Wrath. Energy cost 4 of 6. So since we just generated 2 ability energy, we would be able to use this on our second turn with this character. What would happen? We'll clear barrier on all enemies, apply defense up for 2 turns, and immunity for 2 turns to self and all allies. Okay. So in piecing here, we have some defense up, we have immunity, we still don't have safeguard, but we're able to put some pieces together. Attack all for 500 damage, heal self and all Daring Warrior allies for 25% of this character's max health. We're going to clear the Crescent Moon and New Moon. The first time this ability is used, we gain the Full Moon. What does Full Moon do? On enemy turn, you apply offense down to that enemy. So we've seen counterattacks for our team, blinds for the opponent, offense down for the opponent. So in this case, we're looking at kind of like Yo-Yo, right? She would always put that offense down on the opponent. That's interesting, right? That's an interesting defensive mechanic. And we see this character is doing a lot of healing. So I'm not sure if we want to make her a healer or not. But again, this is going to depend on what we want to do with the rest of the characters. Her passive is Eshell's Avatar. On spawn, before other characters' standard on spawn effects, you're going to attack the enemy protector with the highest speed for 200% damage. In Crucible or Battleworld, in Crucible or Battleworld, if we have 3 Daring Warrior allies, you're going to put trauma for 2 turns and silence for 2 turns on that enemy as well. Okay. Apply safeguard for 2 turns, defense up for 2 turns for self and all Daring Warrior allies. All right, we'll pause right there, break some of this down. We have our safeguard and defense up on spawn, and it says before other characters' standard on spawn effects. So some people go after on spawn effects and some people go before. So it seems like it's important for her to go first with that. So she's going to spawn. We're going to get safeguard and defense up. We saw that we can get immunity relatively easy by using some of her abilities. So we'll have our main 3 defensive abilities right there. When she spawns, she's going to attack the enemy protector with the highest speed. Okay. And in Crucible, if she has the rest of the team, so we can have 3 other Daring Warrior allies, we can flip somebody out if we want. So we need at least 4 members, and you're going to put trauma and silence on that enemy as well. So if we look at our protectors here, and we haven't filtered according to speed here on the website, who stands out? We have Cannonball. So if we go before him, we can essentially stop, I think, right? We'll have to see this in practice. We can stop his pre-taunt. Is that what this is saying? I can stop his pre-taunt with Eclipse's passive ability. I think that's what is being said here. We got Mephisto, all right? So once again, we got somebody that really quickly we can get a hold of. We can give him a silence and a trauma right before the game even starts. Sebastian Shaw coming in there at number 9. Same thing. We could get him under control before the match starts. I know he's not a Crucible character, but he's very strong. People have been using him in plug-and-play situations, especially in Cosmic Crucible, at least a little bit that I see. Again, we can get ahead of him, stop him from doing what he wants to do. We have Invisible Woman. Same deal. There may be other characters on that list as the speed mechanic drops, but I think we're sort of getting an idea of what's happening here. In addition, is it possible that the Maestro could also be a protector and that putting this on him immediately would give us the advantage? I don't know. We'll have to see. Let's continue with the passive ability. When one or more enemies die, attack a random enemy brawler for damage. And in Crucible or Battleworld, if this character has 3 Daring Warrior allies, you're going to put Trauma for 2 turns and Silence for 2 turns on that enemy. In Crucible and Battleworld, enemies cannot revive. So I do believe that the Maestro will indeed be a brawler. If you knock somebody out, you're just going to continue. You're going to randomly attack an enemy brawler for damage. You're going to put Trauma again and Silence on that enemy as well. In most cases, right, there's a lot of enemy brawlers. There's a lot of brawlers in this game. So getting the KO and then a quick attack and out of turn attack, that by itself is going to be cool. That's going to help us deal with some of the more damage dealing enemies out there. But again, I think specifically this might also be useful for the Maestro. If he is indeed a brawler, you would knock out one of those minions with those, right? You have those other moves that you're using for healing. And so maybe it matters who you target, and you don't want to target the main guy if he's going to have minions as well. And you will still make sure to get attacks off on the main enemy as long as Eclipse, well, she will continue to get main attacks on the enemy with her moves when you're trying to keep the team healed up. Concept art. Concept art's always awesome. It gives you background into how and why the characters came into existence. So again, we know that Eclipse is the avatar of Ishel, the Mayan moon goddess, and we have again the rabbit there, who's I don't know what you call that. If she, right, because if Eclipse is the avatar, I don't know what you call the little animal, little spirit animal. But okay, so the chest logo going from left to right, it says it's a crescent moon surrounded the Mayan rabbit carving. So that little relief there, and then they put the energy around it. Again, I think that's really cool. Headdress feathers, blue with glowing gradient toward the tips. So we see that artistic flair there. Curious to see in the game how that's going to look as her headdress kind of be flowing and glowing. I imagine so. Black are obsidian stone material. Huge point right there. Huge point. So again, her mace or sword, the Makwaweedle, that is typically made of black obsidian stone. So they're bringing cultural significance to the character. I think that that's cool. That's awesome. So the black that we see is the obsidian stone. The blue are armor pieces. They're hard. And then we have, again, the loincloth there is indeed made of cloth. So just textures, layers, and things like that. Little simple things for the designers that they, want to use to represent their character. I think that's incredible. Let's continue. Next up, we have Night Thrasher. Night Thrasher, again, I thought this character was awesome when I was a kid. I was growing up about the same time he came out. One of my favorite characters. Speed, 124. Traits, Hero, Global, City. Hero and City. Tech, Controller, Daring Warrior. It's ISO 8 and counterattack assist attack, the primary target for 247% piercing damage on the ISO attack. Clear 2 positive effects. So as we saw before, we start calling these people in for attacks. Stuff's going to happen. In this case, you got big damage, right? So on his basic, we have Radical Wrath, attack primary target for piercing, clear 2 positive effects. Then we're going to chain to an adjacent enemy, more piercing damage, clear 2 positive effects. Radical Wrath, so again, Night Thrasher was coming out at the time when skateboard culture was picking up. So he's radical, and hence his name, Night Thrasher. Special board slide, beat down, so even the little picture there, he's grinding that rail, awesome. Energy cost 3 of 3, so we'll be able to use this quite frequently, and it comes fully charged. It's going to attack primary, target, and all enemies in the character's row. For damage, apply bleed and defense down. All right, so we haven't seen an ability like that in a while. It's going to attack enemies in a row. Okay, so the characters are either in the front row or in the back row. Okay, so it won't attack all enemies, but it will attack all enemies either in the front row or the back row, depending on who you target. And you're going to give them bleed and defense down, apply 2 deflect and 2 death proof to self and all allies. So this application of death proof is important as we go on and look at the rest of the character's abilities. Ultimate, daring demolition. He is a demolition expert. That's built into the information here. Energy cost 8 of 8. So we could use either or. We could start with that special or the ultimate. This is going to attack all for piercing damage. A lot of piercing damage with this character. You're going to remove charges and apply trauma. Clear all battlefield effects on the allied and enemy side. So sometimes we're like, well, hey, whose side is this going to be? Is Mephisto's on this side? Odin is on that side. Like, where are we going to put this with this character? It's just going to be a blanket, clear all battlefield effects on the allied and enemy side. So again, fighting, especially against those 2 characters, I think this is significant. You can remove that and continue with the matchup. In Crucible or Battleworld, if this character has 3 Daring Warrior allies, reduce the duration of all positive effects on enemies by 2. Apply Disrupted to all enemies. That is not bad. Apply ability block to 2 random controllers with the highest speed. Ability block to 2 random controllers with the highest speed. You get extra focus for the attacks, so it's unavoidable, cannot be blocked. I can still use it if I'm blind. It cannot be blocked, so they can't guard it and resist getting some of those negative abilities. It's going to happen. 1, I didn't mention it, but perhaps Maestro has some kind of battlefield effect, and we're going to need to use Night Thrasher to keep it in check. Do you think that that's reasonable or not? If we look at controller enemies with high speed stats, so these are the people, if I use that ultimate, that are going to get ability blocked automatically. Very quick, we got Damon Hellstrom coming in at number 2. We got Blue Marvel coming in at number 4. Franklin's at number 5. Gore, I mean, he hasn't been super problematic in a while, but that's something to think about. Right underneath him is Jeff the Landshark. Again, his team is made for Alliance War, but if somebody tries to piece him out for Crucible, again, I don't know how big a deal this is going to be. Kestrel Zombie, Green Goblin Classic, older character. And then we have Null coming here at number 16. Professor Xavier at 127 speed. So everybody from here up has 127 speed. Again, interesting, right? So these individuals, if I use that ultimate ability block them, should be able to get ahead of what they're trying to do. Do you have any thoughts as to why or who this ability is made for? His passive ability is Street Shredder. In Crucible or Battleworld, until this character completes a turn, note what's going to happen. This character and all Daring Warrior allies cannot gain slow. Enemies cannot gain speed up. If we have 3 Daring Warrior allies, enemies cannot fill or reduce speed bar for themselves, allies, or enemies. On turn, if this character has death proof, so we saw earlier that we could apply death proof with some of his other abilities, you're automatically going to get offense up on this character and a random ally that does not have offense up. In Crucible or Battleworld, if we got 3 Daring Warrior allies, enemies cannot have their speed increase except by positive effects. This character, all Daring Warrior allies cannot have their speed reduced except by negative effects. So they're trying to end the speed meta, right? They're trying to end the speed meta. Every team that has come out, every Crucible team especially, has had a character in the last couple rounds that stops people from manipulating speed early in the match. You can still use buffs and debuffs. That seems to be the normal flow of the game, but just by plugging in extra characters to go faster, they're trying to stop that so that the game proceeds naturally. They're trying to get it back to its pure form. I kind of like that. I think that's cool. Now, another important point, death proof. Offense up on this character, so Night Thrasher, and a random ally that does not already have the offense up. We've seen some really ridiculous numbers so far, and there's still more to come when it comes to these counterattacks and these ISO attacks, right? I think Night Thrasher like a 400% piercing or something like that. So you were going to add another 50% damage on that, on a counterattack. This could get out of hand really, really quickly. I'm curious to see what it looks like in real time. Am I over exaggerating things, or is this the potential for something interesting to be happening? Here's a concept art again for Night Thrasher. Again, I'm always happy to see it. So we got our metals there. Down there at the bottom, right? We got the cloth material, and then there's the carbon fiber texture. So just from a lore perspective, that is something that this character is known for. He's a tech guy. He builds armor and weapons, but he likes building power suits. So it's kind of like Iron Man in a way. And one of the things is they have this proprietary carbon fiber design that he's using. He integrates into his suit all types of gadgets, right? So Inspector Gadget, I don't know how old some of you guys are, but he's got all type of suits integrated in his higher armors. So we see his stabs on the back. His skateboard can also plug right there on the back. But again, on stronger versions of his armor, he's got like miniguns, he's got nets. He's kind of like, Batman in that sense. He got all these type of different things that he puts in his suits. I think it's dope. Speedball. This is going to be an interesting character. I really want to see what his animations look like. In the comics, they're just weird. So I really want to see what the developers are bringing to life with this character. His speed is 122. He's a hero, global, bio, brawler, and a daring warrior. His ISO and counterattack assist. Again, attack primary target for 240% piercing damage on a counterattack, and he's going to put a bleed out there. This is going to be right. This has some potential to be problematic with these counterattacks and this high damage. Basic, ping pong, pummel. You're going to attack your primary target for piercing damage, apply bleed, bonus attack for another 100% piercing damage, more bleed. Special, bouncing blitz, energy costs 5/5, so we can use it right out of the gate. Attack primary target and adjacent targets for damage. Apply bleed for 2 turns, heal block for 2 turns, ability block for 2 turns to that primary target. Apply the following positive effects to 2 turns. Apply the following positive effects for 2 turns to self and all Daring Warrior allies. We're going to get Safeguard, defense up, speed up. All right. So we got Safeguard, defense up. So we're able to kind of rebuild, right? We have the potential to get our big 3, our immunity, Safeguard, defense up, speed up in addition here. So if somehow we were to lose that early on, we have characters that can help reintroduce those key ingredients. We just have to use them in a proper order. Special, we're still going with special, which is bouncing blitz. In Crucible or Battleworld, if we got 3 Daring Warrior allies, we're going to apply ability block for 2 turns to adjacent villain enemies, and then we'll attack the villain brawler enemy with the most speed. The most speed bar. Interesting. Not the most speed, with the most speed bar at that time for damage and ability block for 2 turns. This attack cannot miss. So I think Maestro is going to be a brawler, a villain brawler, right? Are we going to be able to ability block him? I don't know. Typically, that's not something we can do, but still extra out of turn damage against the boss, who maybe we can break the damage cap with this team, is always going to be good. Villain brawlers in order of speed, that doesn't guarantee that they're going to have the highest speed bar, but it's just something to keep an eye on. Lady Bullseye, Vulture, Super Skrull, Azazel, Helverine, Omega Red Phoenix Force. He does get some speed buffs as we're playing, so maybe we can use this to get ahead of him. Again, this is all theoretical in the mind at the moment, but this is the totality of the villain brawler roster. So there's not a whole lot of characters here. It is going to be very specific as to when that ability can kick in. The ultimate ability is Photobomb, 4 of 8, so it's going to be a minute to pump this up. In Crucible of Battleworld, we reduce the duration of Safeguard by 2 on the primary target. That is by 2. Okay. Attack that primary target for 500% piercing. Flip all positives to negatives. Apply bleed for 2 turns. Heal block 2 turns. And stun for 2 turns. Stun's always good. His passive ability is Boing. On spawn, he's going to bury him and all Daring Warrior allies for 30% of his max health. In Crucible or Battleworld, if we got 3 Daring Warrior allies, lower max barrier of all enemies by 100%. Interesting. So on spawn, lower max barrier of all enemies by 100%. So they can't spawn with barrier. Enemies cannot passively assist. If we got Daring Warrior, this character and all Daring Warrior allies cannot gain ability block or defense down. Interesting. And this is on the passive. I know it says ultimate, but we just did the ultimate. So this is the passive ability. We can't be ability blocked or defense down. That's interesting. No assists. And I wonder if that's persistent, if the opponent simply cannot gain barrier, or they just are not going to be able to, they're just not going to be able to spawn with barrier, I think is what I'm seeing here. So again, if we're thinking about the Maestro, does that mean he's going to have a barrier? The other Battle World bosses did. So if he's not able to have it, right? Another way we can do extra damage, perhaps with this team. Now we get into the reworks. We have Daredevil. Now we know why they're calling him the Daring Warriors. And look at these percentage increase. Daredevil, we haven't used him for quite some time, right? Health, 700% health increase. Incredible, 600% on the damage. And if those of us who remember, we would joke that his batons must be made of dynamite because the dude hit so hard. I'm hoping they preserve that about the character in the reworked version. What's he going to do? On his ISO and his assist, he's going to attack for damage, 17% piercing. If the target is a Daring Warrior, attack for 25% damage instead. Now, he's the only character so far that has this. The other characters didn't have, if we attack our own team, the damage is reduced. I'm guessing, I don't know, Daredevil is a brawler. So maybe the Maestro will mind control other brawlers to attack. I'm guessing on that. That would be the why else would they put that on this character only? Basic, strike without fear. He's going to attack again for damage. Bonus attack for more damage. If he's going to attack an ally, the character deals less damage to Daring Warrior characters. Special, throw a baton. He's going to attack for damage, chain to 2 targets within 2 spaces of the previous target for 200% damage. Apply counter to self and all defender and Daring Warrior allies. Dodge breaks the chain. Now, again, this is a big deal in my opinion. Apply counter to all the Daring Warriors, and we saw some of the crazy things, including the damage that can happen with counterattacks, assists, out of turn damage. So putting 2 on each character, that can get interesting. Dodge breaks the chain. We'll see the voice holds up here. Ultimate is Brawl. Attack primary target for damage. You're going to chain to 4 to 6 adjacent targets. So we have a chain attack there. But in Crucible or Battleworld, if we got our 3 Daring Warrior allies, the attack simply targets all enemies for damage instead. So instead of having a chain attack where you might get stuck in the minions, so we'll pretend again that the Maestro is just like the other Battleworld bosses and he has minions. So getting stuck over there in the minions that you can maybe knock out in one hit and not be able to get multiple chains, you're just going to be able to attack everybody for that 400% damage inside of Crucible and Battleworld. In addition, you apply slow to all enemies. Counterattack will break the chain. In Crucible and Battleworld, though, there will not be a chain. If you got your Daring Warrior allies, then the attack cannot be blocked. Passive, enhanced senses, gain 5% dodge chance, gain an additional 5% dodge per defender or Daring Warrior ally. He starts with a 5% dodge anyway. So we have an extra 20%. So let's say a 25% chance to dodge passively. Not bad. Not bad. Gain 10% damage. If this character has counter, gain 25% crit chance for each Daring Warrior ally. All right, so he's going to counter. And if you got a full team, that's 100%. That's a 100% chance to get a critical strike. No, if the character has counter, which he will have with his special, then his crit chance goes up to 100% if we have a full Daring Warrior team. Okay, do I understand that correctly? So it increases his ability to get those critical strikes. So maybe he's a raider. I don't know. Let's go to Jessica Jones. So again, her reworks or her stats are not boosted by as much. They're still pretty good. But remember that she was reworked for the A-Force, the original A-Force team, not too long ago. Her special, shake it off, clear all negative effects from yourself and allies, generate an ability energy for each defender or A-Force ally, generate 4 ability energy for random allies. So on this team, keep in mind that Daredevil, who we just saw, is a defender. She's a defender. So those two should get an ability energy, right? Plus there'll be 4 more ability energy out there for different allies. If you land on Speedball, that can help get that ultimate up a little bit faster. Bury yourself in all A-Force Daring Warrior allies for 20% of her max health. Bury your other allies for 10% of max health. So again, she was on that A-Force team, maybe with the new stats. I think the absolute A-Force still qualifies as A-Force. We'll have to test that and see. Not saying that that's what we should do, just saying it might be something to play around with. You're going to apply 1 defense up to a max of 3 to self all A-Force Daring Warrior allies. So another opportunity gets that defense up. Apply immunities, defense up and immunity, A-Force Daring Warriors. Ultimate is rejection. Attack primary adjacent targets for damage. Clear all positive effects. Apply defense up to A-Force and Daring Warriors. Call in assist. This is on the ultimate. Call in assist from the A-Force and Daring Warrior with the highest damage. Okay? So another opportunity for some out of turn damage. Very rarely used because it's just going to pop up on the ultimate here, but it's there. We get an ability energy for Jessica Jones, and we have 100,000% extra focus for this attack. So we usually use this to remove negative effects in the past. That's why you need that really high focus stat to do that. Her passive is Denial. It's going to gain 20% resistance, and city allies gain 20% resistance. So that would be her, Daredevil, and Night Thrasher, I believe, will gain additional resistance. Everybody else will still get 15% resistance. On war offense, fill speed bar by 5%, plus an additional 5% per A-Force ally, and that would be for her, so she could go faster. Again, not sure if that's usable in the new game. If you were to somehow plug her into the absolute A-Force, I'm not sure if that would work there, or even resurrecting the old A-Force team if this really has any value, but they didn't want to remove it. When this character or any A-Force ally with taunt drops below 50% max health, then you're going to clear that taunt from the ally herself. And now that I think about it, do we have a taunt? We might not have a taunter on this team. So it looks like that's it. That's the end of the carousel. So what do you think about the Daring Warriors? Are you excited for the new team? Are you excited for the new team? I am, as always. As a free-to-play player, I'm not going to build these characters just yet, right? So Daredevil and Jessica Jones, I'm not going to build them right now. We're just going to wait, as always. We're going to wait and see when the new team even comes into the game, and I prefer to work on the new characters first because 1 or 2, perhaps Jessica Jones here of the reworks, is going to be subbed out anyway. So we might as well wait, build the new characters first. I am interested in the concept of the striker skirmisher combo. Who should be what? Is there anything you think we should be leaning into? As far as the Maestro, did you see anything in these characters' kits? I'm speculating 100%, but did you see anything in these kits that make you think, yes, the Maestro most likely will operate in this fashion? I think it's a strong indication that he's a brawler, right? Take that. It's not worth a whole lot, but we're just going to speculate and put the pieces together why we can. So again, are you excited for the new team, for the new character? We have a new Marvel Strike Force Original. Those characters, generally speaking, are really strong. So curious to see what Eclipse is going to bring to the game. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Peace.